Good morning and welcome to the trade setup right here on BloombergQuint Live. I'm Niraj Shah and let's get started with what's to be watched out for in the session today. It promises to be a day of trade which is, well, at least the start promises to be unlike what was the case in trade yesterday. Now, firstly, the news around the world. So Wuhan and lots of news flows surrounding it. The news came out on Monday morning about how Wuhan saw the first new virus cases since the lockdown was lifted. So that is an interesting piece of news. Just keep in mind that the new COVID-19 cases have been reported in Wuhan all through and through. So that is the first piece of news. The last 2 or 3 sessions, Wuhan has seen an uptick in cases. Saudi Arabia has announced a surprise move to slash oil output to the lowest in 18 years. I think 2 days ago or yesterday, there was some news flash around how Saudi Arabia is going to cut the government spending by some 27 to 30%. They are going to increase the value-added taxes, and now they are slashing this in order to try and restore some parity to crude prices, probably because their economy too is getting shattered by virtue of what's happening to crude. And there is news on Bloomberg about how India is likely to allow resumption of flights from May 18th, and that should be an interesting piece of news as well. So do watch out. Some pieces that I thought were interesting throughout from amongst the clutter of news that we see. Now, what's happened to markets by and large? There was a 6-day winning streak for NASDAQ as of close yesterday. So big tech still continue to do okay. Not the same for some of the others. The likes of Dow and S&P weren't as gung-ho as the NASDAQ were. But the Asian screen is a mixed bag as a result of that. You mixed trades across. Australia, in fact, started off lower as well. Peripheral Asia, too, the likes of Kospi and some of the others have mixed trades to themselves, and the SGX Nifty not giving any kind of decisive move, quite unlike the trade yesterday. So what does all of this hold in store for us? Keep in mind that the dollar too is strengthened overnight, and the currency, which was meandering around the close in the overnight close, the last week's close, might actually see a bit of a downtick in today's session as well. So you have to bear that in mind. So what does all of this hold for trade today for us? That's the key question, isn't it? Now, I would reckon that the trade is likely to have a negative bias and dependent on announcements and the expectations that people have around it. Yesterday, I think the markets had a lot of expectations about announcements of stimulus coming in and some good news. And that's why I think we stayed up for a better part of the trading day before coming off. Now today, on how the expectations are managed by the trading community would probably lead to what the markets do. I would believe that the bias would be negative today. Bulls would be hoping for Reliance Industries and autos to sustain strength, because frankly, those are the 2 pockets that look like sustaining strength. But keep in mind, viewers, that Reliance Industries has had an unabated move really from 1465 or 1455 odd in Wednesday's trade all the way to 1605, 1610 yesterday before cooling off a bit. Yes, there are investments. Yes, the May 14th rights issue date is a technical support level as well, because I think most people who would want to get the rights issue shares at a lower price would not come out and sell. But be mindful of Reliance and the move that it has already had and the valuations that it is trading at. I would reckon by virtue of what Piramal has shown in its housing finance book yesterday, maybe that space could be under pressure in trade. So it's not just Piramal Enterprises, a clutch of others would probably be under pressure. 90% of the book under moratorium, and I think all housing finance companies will probably see that. So be mindful of that as well. Motilal Oswal again is the other one, which in the housing finance division hasn't, and it's done okay, but you would probably want to believe that could be under pressure too. What are we watching out for today? Nestle India results. Watch out for those numbers. All foods business, and therefore could be materially different from what HUL has done. But there is Bandhan Bank, Blue Star, Havells, IndiaMart Intermesh would be such an interesting stock to watch because of the results today. But what are the stocks that we are watching out for? As I said, Piramal likely to be one of the key stocks in the session today. There was a loss due to MAT credit written off, but the financial division asset quality weakens as 2 accounts slipped, and 85 to 90% of the total borrowers have opted for a moratorium. So while the pharma business did what it did, I think the focus in Piramal would be around what their NBFC business has done, and that's probably not painting the best of pictures. Motilal Oswal is one more stock that I would monitor, but aside of that, there are others that I would keep an eye out for. Godrej Agrovet, the revenue up 17%. Net profit was down about 34% because of an exceptional gain, but EBITDA up about 68%. Margins expanded to 7.8% from 5.4%. Could likely see an interesting move in the session today, maybe on the upside. Interglobe Aviation has clarified that the company has not formulated any proposal or shown interest in Virgin Australia, but it's a news that is there across top websites and more importantly on Bloomberg.com global. So the stock was very active yesterday, could be active today as well. Let's wait and watch. The government of India is mulling resuming commercial flights on May 18th or earlier. This is as per Bloomberg News as well. So all of this should keep Interglobe Aviation in focus. And last but not the least, aside of Piramal, I think the other big stock that could be in focus today could be Asian Paints. Goldman Sachs has downgraded the stock to a sell. They've set the target price at 1,111, which is a downside of 29.6%. They believe that discretionary spend on paints would come off. There could be some down trading. The valuations, according to their math, at 47 times will not sustain. They should go down. So all of these factors lead them to believe that Asian Paints could correct quite significantly. Their targets are set at 1,111. Do watch out for this one. There is also this stock of the block from Reliance Industries stable, which could also put additional pressure. The block getting over might actually give a bit of a surprise move on the upside as well, but be mindful of Asian Paints. That's a big stock that you have to monitor in this session today. So Piramal, Asian Paints, some NBFCs, these could well be the order of the day. Watch out for Reliance as well, has had some upsides. If the market doesn't behave itself, can Reliance come to the rescue is the $1 million question. But viewers, thanks so much for tuning in to the Trade Setup today.